Well, here we are again, day 4. I can't believe it. I'm actually surprised I've done something more than twice in a row. But I'm determined to stick to this and see it through. My name is Tomlins Nyback, and this is 365 Days to Racial Change. Welcome. Here we're going to discuss the position of Black Americans in the great United States of America. We're going to talk about disturbing facts, blow away some myths, and hopefully come away educated, motivated to make some changes. Not necessarily go out on the street, beat the pavement, hand out flyers. But I think if we're just aware in the small ways, in the little things, we can really um, make an impact over the long term. So some housekeeping items. This is our 4th installation. I'm not sure what my storage space on YouTube is. I may look at other options, so you may get different links to other platforms. I'm not sure. I may just take down previous versions to make space and just rotate them out until the year goes. Just I want you to be aware, these videos may disappear. I don't have the space. I'm wondering if I should buy a subscription and do space, but this is just off the cuff, and there's not a whole lot of planning that went into it. Um, the spirit moved me, and I felt like making videos on the subject. That being said, don't be surprised if videos disappear or you you miss out on an episode. And now, having said that, you won't miss much if you get the material that I'm getting, that I'm being informed from, or if you interact or look at some other videos of some men I'm going to mention. First one is Dr. Claude Anderson. Um, Great guy. I don't know him personally, but I know he was instrumental in getting President Jimmy Carter elected. He knows his way around politics. He understands the subject of being black in America. He's probably, as far as I've heard, the most motivated, articulate speaker to talk about the roots of some of these issues. And on that note, he's written some great books that I encourage you to get. Um, this is a Black History Reader. This was my first book I read of him. I bought 3 packs from his website. 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. And trust me, if you're like me, you never thought to ask these questions and you didn't know how those answers figured in to Black life in America. Second book I read, Black Labor and White Wealth, that gets a little more intricate and deeper into the economic landscape. How this is an economic issue, and he puts it in those terms, and it's very understandable and readable the way he presents it. And his plan for Black Americans to rise up. Now, I gotta admit, I'm coming to the conversation late, so that this material is dated. His plan when he brought this out and stuff, he wanted to see some changes by 2004, 2005, and things like that. Back then, I forget, I don't know what I was doing. I think I was out on the road truck driving, so I wasn't listening to or grasping for a whole lot of information on Black issues when he was, I guess, at the height of him doing his thing. But it's still relevant and can still make us think, can still help us resist some of the goings on in America. And also, finally, some fiction, but I think it's very applicable to what's going on. This is Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet Beecher Stowe's book on slavery in America in her time. And it's a good book. I think it's real descriptive and accurate as far as what was going on with slaves in that time. Very, very sad, of course, sad things going on in there. So, and I'm going to reference that. Maybe we'll have a story time or something like that. With that, let's get on with it. Today, we're still going to take another piece out of a Black History Reader, come right up to the front and talk about some things. But at first I want to say, you ever show up to an event or a game you're supposed to participate in, and you feel like you're lost. You're not being effective in what's going on. If there's a ball in the game, you don't understand why it's going this way and that way, or why you're losing, and why the other side is winning, and they're taking chances and seem to have opportunities that you didn't know about. You're not very much in tune with your own team, and and the other team is just scoring and winning and dominating you. Well, that's today's subject. Talk about the rules of the game in America, and America is very. The truth is out there implied, but it's not explicit. Meaning, there's no billboard signs that says, "Hey, this is a capitalist society," and the people within these boundaries of these 50 states, the smart ones or the knowledgeable ones, are doing everything they can to get you or a group of people to do a whole lot of work for a minority. And they want to glean the resources from all that labor, right? That's capitalism. You think of your employer, right? I work for a pretty big organization, big company. I've never met the CEO or whatever, but I know they're not down there every night. I work nights, handling stuff in the dirt and dust at weird hours of the evening. They're somewhere else. They have facilitated that atmosphere. They've provided the tools. There's management. They have a great health care, and there's some bells and whistles as far as being one of their employees. But my manpower with others, woman power and man powers, come together collectively, and that CEO, the owners, whatever board that runs this business gets returns from all that labor. And all they do, they construct the place, the wherewithal to go to participate. So they say, "Come, all y'all, participate, and we're going to give you enough to survive, to make it to work the next day. Try to save and do the best you can with the rest of your money, but guaranteed the cumulative effect of all of you people coming together is being gathered by us up here, and we are maximizing those returns." Right? That's kind of the gist of capitalism. Almost lost my thought there. But it's a rule of the game. It's a rule of the United States of America. That's how it goes. It's not changed since slavery, which makes me skeptical about how far away from slavery has America come, if at all. Let me pause here. I'm going to get into some material here in a minute. Behind me, you'll see hashtag us too. Hashtag USTOO. That's you can find them on Facebook and talk more, interact with more of the community that's serious about black issues. Okay, so my whole talk about rules of the game, capitalism, things like that, goes to Dr. Anderson's first question in his book is what is a social construct and how was it used in making America? And this question, it's got its own chapter. It's not even long, but it's important to know how blacks came to be on the bottom and whites came to be on the top. It's insidious, and I think there's blame actually to go all around. And I scratch my head sometimes and say, man, how do you get millions of Africans from the African West Coast and some of the little bit in the interior to get on a boat and come and be dominated and all that? And it's a whole story about business, domination, because we don't have any movies. The whites have movies. You'll see Mel Gibson and I think Braveheart, right? The Scots, they're going to fight the King of England. We see all kinds of great movies of the white people doing heroic exploits to stay out from under. Blacks, we don't see that. There was no rescue ship that came to America. Nothing. There was no follow up. Part of it was the part of the reason is economic. It means that there were tribes and chiefs. They were paid. They sold their people. Slavery was happening. I will say that their slavery probably was not as brutal as America's. America was total domination, castration. You were a non-person, which we'll talk about sometime later. Blacks are 3/5 of a human being, according to the Constitution of the United States. So, there's some issues there with black people at the time lending themselves. Now, granted, it didn't happen like overnight. There was an encroachment, and then the white people took a little bit more and a little bit more, right? So, but to do that, we get to this. First, we need to talk about a social construct. Let's talk about the definition first. Social construct is a purposefully created idea developed by one group with authority that defines another group with lesser or no authority, which is exactly what we have here. And the whites up here, they said the blacks are this, that, and they're slaves. Their labor is to better white, is to make white life better, things like that. So and it was purposefully done. It wasn't like the white people, it just happened. They woke up one morning and found all these blacks serving them. No, they made it happen. It was it was designed, okay, and it was designed. You know, you got religious institutions, we've got popes involved. They saw the passivity and how hard blacks worked. These initial people from Africa, they were given as gifts to kings and things like that, and served. So this happened. Now, in America, though, there was a point and moment right around the Revolution. Now, the Revolution came maybe 100 years or so after um, slavery was kind of getting maturing and uh, finding its roots in the world economic system. I say 100 years because 100 years before the Revolution, Maryland began adopting codes and laws to encroach on the rights of the blacks in Maryland at that time. And so, you know, here we are 100 years later. The white people here are like, you know, this king over there is too brutal on us. And they're over there, they're making these decisions. We don't like that. They're treating us like a non-entity, like a non-person, like we have no rights. So we're going to break away from them. Now, in the midst of that, they turned around and did the same thing to blacks. You see America doing that in a lot of ways. You know, we got the war on drugs. Yet I can go anywhere in any city, and actually have, and get whatever I'm into at the moment. So, you know, America paints these big pictures of inclusiveness and fight hard. We're for the underdog and all this stuff. Yet we allow certain evils within our community. All right, so one group with authority defines another group with lesser or no authority. Right now, the social construct, there's a bunch, right? Well, men open doors for ladies, right? That's a social construct. Guys being cavalier and all that. And the lady, she's, you know, coming in the door, right? We do that. Social construct, right? Oh, what's another one? I know a nice one would be if people, while they're driving on the highway, would let others in when they put their blinker on. I let people in. Their blinker is on. Right? My mind is accommodating, right? But I wish it was a social construct. You know, it fits into the definition because I'm driving. I've got the power to say whether or not that person comes in or not, which gets into a lot of road rage situations, right? Um, but it would be nice if the construct was you put your blinker on, the person in the next lane accommodates and allows you in. All right, you know, there's plenty of them. Plenty of them. We don't let dogs fight. We have a thing about treating animals well and whatnot. All right. So the most important social construct in America is race. Right? That's defines everything. We have stratifications here and there. Blacks are on the bottom. Whites are on the top. There's a lot of mixtures in between. All right. But that's the rules of the game. That's what a lot of yeah. I feel like the whites, Hispanics, Asians, they know the rules. The rule is race. Blacks are the last one to know the rules about race and how we are constantly berated and pressured into the way we are in America. You know, I still like when I'm walking down the street at night. I work at night, and I actually walk quite a distance to my job because traffic is public transportation is challenging at that time of night. So when I see a female coming this way towards me, I have to navigate. Uh, am I menacing? Should I cross the street? If she crosses the street, does that mean I was menacing? Right? And those pressures, navigating that scenario, is about race, right? I'm a black man. I'm fairly large. I'm a little above average. At night, I'm probably wearing my black ski uh, hat here, right? Doesn't look good because racially, right, blacks are a menace, and white girls are vulnerable, right? So at night, in blackness and darkness, so this scenario that happening comes in the context of race, right? It's a race, and Dr. Anderson, he tells a great story about race. It's a race because as the blacks from Africa were being gathered and gleaned and sent to North America, South America, the islands, Haiti, and all that stuff, and building up of that, and sending and working the land, sending resources back to Europe, it became a race, right? And a race, and actually where the English were kind of the winners of that. So, England, Portugal, Spain are probably the big names in that race, and you see how it played out. Oh, France, don't forget France. You see how it played out in North America and South America and Central America. The peoples and languages populating this hemisphere are a result of that race. Right? You have France up north and Canada. Here's we've got a kind of a mixture in America from that race, but it's the language anyway tells that the English were winners over here, and then as you go southward, you find the Spanish-speaking nations and Portuguese. I don't want to lump Spain and Portugal into the same pot. I don't think they like that. There is a difference. So that's the race um, that started. So the race was, it's not a race of color, it's a race of cultures moving forward. And the black backs were the horses, the mules, the engines of the race. We didn't have a whole lot to say in the race. We carried jockeys, English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. Okay, that's the race. So now as this race evolved and matured, what you have is, with the discovery of this new land, there was an urgency to get it populated, cultivated, bearing fruit, bearing wealth and resources. They wanted to get this thing going, and they got it going through black labor. But also another thing that happened was that the powers that be, gave land. It was essentially, we'll talk about the validity of saying the Native Americans were here first and owned the land. We'll talk about that later. But they gave Native American land away, and they gave black labor to Europeans coming over here to further populate the United States. We had a big expansion way out west, out of the Pacific Ocean. There's gold rush and all that stuff. Try to keep in mind that European thought, white thought, is that if there's resources there that appear not to be being used or cultivated, then their mind is that they have a right to it, right? Think about money. You see a $20 bill on the ground, you pick it up and you use it. That's the European thought about wealth, resources, land, and space, and labor in America. It was free, so we're going to use it. Not only that, they invited their friends and family, right, to come over and participate. So this is a designed phenomenon. And I want to wrap it up here. It's integral to this country's existence from where it came from. Hence, this is why I'm a little vocal, adamant, and this is why I'm just speaking up and expressing myself through these short videos. I want to end with this. Dr. Claude Anderson writes, "It's fundamental to the founding of our country that blacks would always be pressed to the bottom and that whites would always retain superiority over blacks. That relationship endures to this day." So where blacks are in America is intentional. It's from a construct. It's designed, and it's not designed to be anything but that. Black will have to be serious in entertainment, and and sports and entertainment, and we do have, probably some closet black billionaires and millionaires out there, and blacks doing well. But in general, for the black community, the construct, the design of America is for the blacks to be at the bottom, to struggle, to bear a whole lot of burdens that whites up here will never contemplate seeing. Thanks for joining me again. We'll talk again tomorrow. Be well, and good day to you.